I've got the best of the best here with me, Sam Acho, Tom Luganville, and Pete Thamel. And fellas, before we dive into our championship talk, we have a very special edition of College Football Live today. We are the first ones to reveal this year's College Football Hall of Fame class and highlight and honor the players and coaches that have shaped the college football landscape. And we got a preview of this year's class when Nick Saban was the first person named to the 2025 class, being surprised by his college game day colleagues. Take a look.
You know, since the advent of college football in 1869, more than 6 million people have played or coached this great game, and 0.02% of them have made the College Football Hall of Fame. And even among that 0.02%, I think there's even another level reserved for the greatest of all time. Yeah. And this December, coming up in Las Vegas National Football Foundation Awards Dinner, their new Hall of Fame class will be announced. And headlining that class will be the greatest college football coach in the history of the sport, Nick Saban.
Hey.
Nick is going into the Hall of Fame.
Congrats, man.
I didn't know anything about it.
It's happening right now.
Coach, we actually have a game ball printed out from
that's great.
This is a surprise to you. You're the first one getting announced, but I think what I was told, and Reese, you can back me up, easiest vote in the history. You want to think of how you've represented the sport, how you've done on this particular program, talking for the sport that you've committed your entire life to. Congratulations, Coach, and we love you, man. We absolutely
thank you so
love
much.
You.
But anytime anything like this happens, it's because you had a lot of great people in your organization, a lot of great players, a lot of great coaches, a lot of support staff, and they made a great team. And I was happy to drive the bus, but we had some great people on it. So thank you so much.
Congratulations.
A lot of those guys that have been on that bus will probably be happy to go to Las Vegas and celebrate with you.
Yeah, even some guys that have only been teammates, maybe
like a year. Exactly.
We might do that. Vegas trip on you.
I don't know how many players that I got can match you.
Coach, it would have been an honor to play for you. And I know you say your staff and your players, and of course, that's very real. That's why you are the Hall of Famer. But there's a lot of people that have coached. You're the greatest of all time, man.
Just how great was Nick Saban? During his 17 seasons at Alabama, he led the Crimson Tide to the best win percentage, points per game differential, and yards per game differential in that span. Needless to say, a well-deserved congratulations, Coach Saban. So let's take a look at what it takes to get into the College Football Hall of Fame. For players, they need to be elected as an All-American. Then their eligibility starts after 10 full seasons after their last year in college play. Then they are chosen by their notable football achievements as well as their post-football record as a citizen. For coaches, they need to be a head football coach for a minimum of 10 years, coach at least 100 games, and have a winning percentage of 600 or better. All right, guys, are you ready for me to reveal the rest of the class? Just give me a solid nod. All right, let's get going for it, shall we? Starting with Urban Meyer. Arguably one of the most successful head coaches in college football, highlights the list with an impressive 187 career wins and leading the Florida Gators to 2 national championships and the Ohio State Buckeyes to 1 in 2014. Next up, we got Virginia Tech quarterback Michael Vick. He was selected as the 1999 Big East Offensive Player of the Year, and then in 2001 became the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft for the Atlanta Falcons, where he continued his success as a professional. Then we have another NFL legend in Michael Strahan getting his CFB Hall of Fame nod. He holds the record for the most sacks in a single season in Texas Southern history. He was a second-round draft pick by the Giants in 1993. And we head up north, where the Wisconsin product Montee finally gets his CFB Hall of Fame nod. He has the most rushing touchdowns in Wisconsin history, while also earning multiple consensus All-Americans. And then there is the Oregon defensive tackle, Haloti Ngata. He won the Morris Trophy and Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year in the 2005 season, and he was the 12th overall pick in the 2006 NFL Draft by the Ravens. We are also going to take a look at the player class presented alphabetically. Gregg Carr was the SEC Most Valuable Defensive Player in 1984. Graham Harrell won the 2007 Sammy Baugh Trophy for the best passer in the nation. Then we got Michael Huff's career, highlighted by a national championship in the 2005 Jim Thorpe Award. Cal's Alex Mack is a two-time winner of the Morris Trophy as the Pac-10's top lineman. And we have Steve Slayton, won the 2005 Big East Rookie of the Year. Darren Smith, of course, winning 2 national titles with the Hurricanes. And for the coaches, Larry Blakeney earns the nod after multiple Sun Belt Coach of the Year awards, and Larry Corver is a 2-time NAIA national champion. Congrats to all. So guys, lot to take in there when we look at this prestigious class. Who are some of the names that stood out to you? Lugs, I'm going to start with you.
I think the biggest name that stood out was Michael Vick at Virginia Tech. And the reason why is when I think about the evolution of offensive football and where we're at today in college football, 2 players come to mind. Major Harris at West Virginia from 1987 to, I believe, 1989 or 1990. He went in 2009, and Michael Vick. And you think about how the dynamic runner that could also throw the football has revolutionized offensive football. You think about the shotgun and the zone read and the RPO and the quarterback run, and you're mixing option principles with guys that can beat you with their arm. And that's what made Michael Vick so dangerous. And I look at offensive football right now, and I point to him and say, look at what everybody's doing. And look at why everybody's trying to get dynamic at quarterback. It's because of Michael Vick.
Well, one of the reasons that I think that Michael Huff is a person that stands out to me, the DB at Texas, is that there's so much talk about offensive football, but this is a defensive back who not only won the Thorpe Award at Texas, but won a national championship. We talk a lot about what Texas did back in 05 with Vince Young, but really it was that defense that was a big part of that championship run. And oh, by the way, the stellar on-the-field play, being an All-American, Award winner, being a first-round pick, going to play in a Super Bowl, has now been highlighted by what he's doing after his playing days. He spent the last nearly decade at the University of Texas mentoring guys like Jahdae Barron, who just won the Thorpe Award. Jahdae Barron has been known to say, man, I've looked up to you. I want you to be my mentor. There's been this great relationship. And so there's so many players that Michael Huff is still affecting even after his playing days.
Loved what Lugs and Sam said, because I think the era that a lot of these players come from is really an era that's a pivot point for when college football changed. And I don't think many more epitomize that than Urban Meyer. Beyond his 85% winning percentage and 3 national titles, he really ushered in the spread to the mainstream. He certainly didn't invent it. He wasn't first in line, but the offenses he had at the University of Utah and then the University of Florida really helped change the way that football is played. You go back to Alex Smith, you got Paris Warren running in motion. It was just a completely different brand of football. And then soon after that, we had Chip Kelly take the charge with the tempo, and football was changed forever. So when I really look back at that time, such a transformative time to how college football looks like today.
You know, I'm going to piggyback that, Pete, with another coach on here that I think deserves a lot of credit. That a lot of people may not know the history of Troy football, and that's Larry Blakeney, 77-year-old coach who spent 14 years as an assistant at Auburn. But when he arrived at Troy in 1991, they were a Division II program. He then ushered them into the Division I AA, which is now the FCS, and then, of course, the FBS level, and eventually into the Sun Belt. There's only 2 coaches that have ever done that at 3 levels. Gene McDowell at UCF and Larry Blakeney at Troy. And he won 178 games after 2 transitions. Just a remarkable accomplishment over the course of his career.
Another remarkable accomplishment, Lugs, is what Graham Harrell was able to do at Texas Tech. The reason why I admire that one, I got a chance to play against Graham Harrell, and during the 2007 season, that season he threw for over 5,000 yards, actually 5,700 yards, nearly 6,000 yards. 55 touchdowns. In his last 3 years, he averaged over 5,100 yards and over 43 touchdowns. So you think about this new era of college football as it was changing back in that 05, 06, 07, getting more spread out. Graham Harrell was a huge part of that, and I got a chance to see it firsthand.
Well, what's old is new again, guys. Steve Slayton was one of the first tailbacks, I think, to really benefit from that spread offense. Obviously, you spread defenses out. There's lanes to slash, and Rich Rodriguez, obviously, with Pat White at quarterback and Steve Slayton busting through the tackles, created a juggernaut there in Morgantown in the mid-2000s. And, of course, who's back in Morgantown this year? Rich Rodriguez. I'm sure he'll have a big smile on his face when one of his prized proteges goes in the Hall of Fame in Vegas in December.
Look, there's a reason these guys are Hall of Fame nominees and well-deserved at best. Now, the 2025 Hall of Fame class will be inducted as part of the National Football Foundation's annual awards dinner on December 9th in Las Vegas.